Esteemed audience, welcome to yet another amazing episode of the Great Debaters Contest, the home of the greatest debates. I am your host, Esperancia Kapanga.
And I am Chris Boru. The bone of contention between our intellectual teams today, both will be making a premier appearance on the show, is democracy is the best form of government.
Proposing this motion are the gentlemen from Chesamisi Boys High School.
And opposing this motion are the ladies from the Hill School Girls Eldoret. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
Sir Abraham Lincoln once said, "Democracy is the government for the people, by the people, and for the people." Democracy is the government that brings about the use of majority rule in our country, in our stations, in our government. My name is Vitalis Samakobe from Chesamisi High School. First of all, democracy paves way for a free and fair election. We do elections every now and then so that we may be able to select new leaders. And this is done through democracy. We do not just choose, not one person goes ahead and chooses one person or just selects or nominates one person, but it is democracy that every individual past the age of 18 is involved in the president choosing and other leaders choosing elections. Democracy also prepares a way or paves way for peace. It is possible or it is evident that when we are peaceful, when we select our own rules, when we select our own leaders, when we are involved in every activity in the government, in the nation, then there will be peace. There will be peaceful coexistence between one person and the other, one community and the other. J. Monravia once said that the way people react is not by the way they are it's not by what they are constrained to do, but what they do out of their own will. Democracy gives way for us to remove the monopoly of leadership. We allow that more than one person leads throughout a term, throughout a nation. Not only one person takes over the nation since independence to the end. We are looking at a situation, we are looking at the goodness of democracy. We are starting from America. You want to live a good life, you want to drive a good car, you want to live in a peaceful country. What do you say? You say, I want to live the American dream. America is a country governed by democracy. We are moving on to Burundi. We are moving on to Southern Sudan. We are looking back in time during the times of Adolf Hitler and the likes, where tyrannical governments took over. There was death, and there is still death in such countries. One leader stays in office and uses the same power to put himself and add points to himself so that he may be able to continue leading. The question is, shall we keep on basking in the failures of the past, or shall we move on to see the future held for us by democracy? This is Chesamisi.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Between a balanced republic and a democracy, the difference is like that between order and chaos. Quote John Quincy Adams, the third president of the United States. Faustin Kinisu, the Hill School Girls Eldoret, here to strongly oppose the motion that states democracy is the best form of government. Abraham Lincoln defined democracy as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And what's a government? A government is a group of people within a country given the authority to control the affairs of that particular state. Democracy is a form of government that leans towards the majority, but remember, the majority is not all. Undisputed, I mean it's factual. We can all attest to the fact that there are countless failed democratic governments that have collapsed into dictatorship worldwide, leading to stagnated economic growth and injurious relationships founded on prejudice based on race, ethnicity, religion, and social classes. People keep records of history, but never learn from them. Allow me to take you down history lane for a while. In Germany, for instance, a leader was elected by earning a majority vote of a majority that is said apparently detested and even feared him. Adolf Hitler was elected democratically. He didn't take power by guns. And what fruits were born out of this exercise of democracy? Suffocation of the media, religious prejudice against the Jews, and a crumbling economy that literally almost brought Germany to its knees. Clear proof, democracy leads to dictatorship. Apparently, this is not the only demerit of democracy. Otherwise, I'd not parade myself in front of all of you to emotionally decry something that only has one demerit. No, I'd not. Democracy provokes wars and misunderstandings amongst clans and tribes because there's a lot of competition. How can we forget what happened in 2007? How many innocent children were killed? People died. Children were orphaned. Youth were ripped off at their prime. Can we even fathom how much property and compensated to debt was lost? We don't have to relive the same again. And just like because there is hope in constitutional monarchy. And just like Martin Luther King, I have a dream of a better Kenya, a better Africa, and a better world. I rest my case.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Abraham Lincoln said that democracy is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. But as Chinua Achebe puts it, things fall apart. My name is Changeyo Duncan Kiprop, and I'm here to propose the motion. Democracy, it has always made people happy. Democracy is against the aristocratic principle that states others are born to govern and others to be governed. As a human race, we do understand that each and every one of us has a responsibility. In the democratic government, my opinion counts, your opinion counts. That is the democracy that you're talking about. You've talked of Adolf Hitler. That is not the democracy that you're talking about. Remember, Adolf Hitler, due to his dictatorship and racial discrimination, caused the death of more than 6 million Jews. 6 million Jews, 6 million dreams were shattered. Is that the democracy that we're talking about? No. The answer is no. Democracy has helped make good citizens, where one understands that the welfare of the state is his welfare, where one feels that he is part of the ruling system. It has protected the interest of the citizens, where you're given a chance to vote for the leader of your choice. Another issue here, it has bring the feeling of obligation toward the citizen. The ruling authority, the leader, knows that failure to provide to the citizens. This is because their rule depends on election by the citizens. And if he fails to offer quality leadership, the next election, he won't be elected. Again, we talk about freedom, where you can express yourself. The following day, wake up and go and work. Look for the taxes to pay to the nation. But what about the monarchy, dictatorial, where you say something against the government, the next day, a bullet on your head, you're dead. As Francis Mbuga puts it in his play, The Betrayal in the City, we see how generations are buried. Promising generations are buried. They say the tantrums of a dying horse has never brought it back to life. So, fellow contestants, stop throwing tantrums and join us in supporting the motion. Yes, indeed, democracy is the best form of government. This is Chesamisi. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes to re-examine your opponents.
Erasers are meant for errors. Honesty to counteract shysters. Lina Kingi from the Hill School Girls Eldoret, here to strongly oppose the motion that says democracy is the best form of government. To my worthy opponents, allow me to laugh, How can you come in front of us and blatantly lie that democracy gives us happiness? There's a clear definition of happiness. It brings joy, but we have this thing called theoretic happiness. Happiness that you have to be happy because you're forced. Not everybody is happy with democracy. Democracy favors the majority and not the minority. What about the minority who are not happy about the leader, who are oppressed to move on with the decisions made by the majority? What about them? What do we do to them? They're also human beings. Democracy is in the best government because it gives rise to an immoral society. Human beings are given freedom when you have democracy. You have that freedom, and it's a virtue, and it's a vice that people often misuse freedom. Freedom is misused by mankind. So when we have democracy in a country, many people feel free to do whatever they want. And sometimes the things we do are not what is right morally. Democracy has promoted, has encouraged the freedom of various vices. Vices like sexual immorality. People are free to rape, and when you go to court, you're just given a fine compared to that person who has stolen chicken because there's democracy, And then democracy allows us to implement some laws that are not worthy. Let me take you to US. These people are allowing gay marriages. Lesbians get married. What is that? Kenyans are trying to copy what Americans do, eradicating our morals because we have democracy. What is that? Honestly, what is that? Democracy, it brings about the question of loyalty. Are our leaders loyal to us? Because when in a democratic state, the leaders will always be there asking us whether we will promote this, we will do this. It's just something we're common with. They come up stage and tell us, we'll do this and that, we'll construct roads, but they don't do it. Loyalty. Democracy is not the best form of government. And according to me, it will never be the best form of government. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked, what do they have to say about the dictatorships that had positive outcomes in the countries in which they occurred? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, if democracy is not the best form of government, then what alternative are they giving us? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
William Henry Harrison once said, "There is nothing more corrupting, nothing more destructive of the noblest and finest feeling of our nature than the exercise of unlimited power." You asked about the dictators who have brought developments to their countries. For example, in Uganda, do you mean diminishing the economy is development? Just because there was no money, Idi Amin suggested that they print more. Is that what kind of government we want? Do we really have to live under these people who think that just because they are leaders, they can do anything with their government. Dictatorship, dictators, why all this? Why can't we just embrace democracy? After many people have died, that's when people are seeing developments. Do people have to die for us to believe that you have developed? We speak about Germany, but can you compare them with us? Those old days when they grew and we were still in shambles. Is it that we were doing the wrong thing? No, we had the wrong leaders. Leaders who only thought of themselves, selfishly thinking that we are not part of the government. Firstly, isn't it a grace for now to see that we can also make the government? We can choose the leaders by ourselves. In those days, when a leader would inherit his seat, is that truly what we need? We are now developing just because we have embraced the future. And we still want to debate over here about something that was so much long ago. Open your minds. See the inner vision beneath the closed eyes. For democracy is the best form of government. Thank you.
Third opposer, 3 minutes to answer the question.
It is with great conviction that I stand before this congregation to present myself as Joyce Atieno from the Hill School Girls, Eldoret, to strongly oppose the motion that says democracy is the best form of government. For Gerald's question, our alternative is the monarchical government, whereby the constitution rules are followed and no one falls out of it. Let's travel a bit to Britain, where the British are ruled by queens and the kings. There is consistency in economic development under one leader without any form of violence or leadership wrangles. On to my first point. Democracy encourages class struggles. Who has an objective on that? No one. Ask me why. It influenced, let's take, for example, these rich nominees who are stinking rich. They tend to bribe other voters in order to get more votes, whereby many of them get false votes. They don't do things according to what they should be doing. Instead, after getting those chances in the governmental offices, they don't attain their obligations. Even though many people are supporting democracy, meaning having many leaders, assuming that they're living in one family, in quotes. Well, if there are really white and black panda bears, does it mean that they're all from Asia? Everyone has a hidden desire. Don't let your pride suppress your actions. Worthy opponents, you are free to join our side. I rest my verdict. Thank you.
Proposition, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
I'm David Shikuku, Chesamisi. We are speaking about happiness. We have just heard that there is no happiness in our country. What do we call the American dream? Is it not happiness? We are also speaking about freedom in our country. If you feel there is no freedom, why don't you go and live in jail where there is no freedom for you? Why can't we just see that democracy has done more good than harm? Where we live under the laws that we are the same people who contributed to making. Isn't that better than it being juxtaposed on us? We look at economies. Our economy right now is flourishing, just to mention a word. In those days when it was not moving, where we were still the same, it is a true grace that we have democracy. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 1 minute for your final statement.
Democracy never lasts long. It wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. John Adams, second president of the United States, and just to concede, Adolf Hitler committed suicide. Democracy has done more bad than good. You claim, my worthy opponents, you claim that we have freedom. Which freedom do we have when if one expresses themselves and decries the outrageous things that are perpetrated by the government, they're incarcerated? Do you still refer to that as freedom? What we have is theoretical freedom, freedom that is only based on the paper. And those are the fruits that democracy comes with, where other people think that they're more superior than the rest.
Vitalis, good introduction, but we needed more energy. Both Vitalis, all the three of you, Vitalis, Duncan, and David, we feel like you killed the debate. Democracy is something really, really close to all of us, especially as Kenyans. We know how we always like speaking out. We even have demonstrations on things like this after elections and all that. So we expected a lot. The three of us as judges expected a lot of passion on this. For example, who likes to be throttled? Everyone likes to speak out. Even in schools, you know that. Everyone likes to speak out rather than to feel like someone is pressing down their issues, not letting them speak out. On the other hand, the opposition side, there's one thing that you didn't do. If you say democracy is not good, the first thing I expected, give us alternative forms of government that are there. Only after someone asked, that is when you went ahead to give. So I'll go to the specific now. Faustine, you are convincing. There was use of nonverbal cues. I like that. Good illustrations of Germany. But you could have even come, or even of the PEV, post-election violence in Kenya, that one that we faced, that was a good one. But there was one thing. You know Kim Jong-un, he's someone who's now central. You could have talked about that. Lynn, you're confident. Good point on that the fact that many people are pro something doesn't make it right all the time. We go to Joyce. At some point, I lost you, Joyce. You started off well, and then I had to really look for that passion and how you illustrated your point so that I was able to follow through. There's nothing more than that. Otherwise, a good debate. Thank you.
To our debaters on stage, regardless of the percentages, remember, we have no loser. And as you walk off the stage, we have a winner and a learner. Straight to the marks. Hill School Girls Eldoret. The judges awarded you 61%. Let's give them a round of applause. With a difference of 2%, Chesamisi Boys High School. The judges awarded you 63%, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to both teams for giving us a good show.
Do remember that losing the battle today may help you find a different way to win the war tomorrow. Keep the conversation going across all our social media platforms. The hashtag is GDC4SDGs.
We'd like to challenge each and every participating school to take up the SDG challenge by implementing at least one sustainable development goal so as to make their schools and our communities a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperancia Kapanga. See you in the next episode.